Hey, wine mermaids. This is the Peace, Love, and Wine podcast, bringing you happy hour conversations with awesome women on self-care, sisterhood, and creative living to reduce stress and maximize joy. Life is short, so grab a glass and get ready to sip, sparkle, and make a splash. Make sure to visit peaceloveandwine.com and enter your email to receive VIP deals and get your free self-care download. Now, here's your wine sister hostess with the mostest, Tiffany Humfeld.
All right, so I'm not sure why, because everything's plugged in, but the computer went to sleep. So this is part 2 of Ms. Pearl Necklace on the Peace, Love, and Wine podcast here. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Good to be back.
Oh, my glass
Cheers.
is empty. Sad. Oh, that reminds me, we ended on, at least when we were talking, I'm not sure when the recording ended at this point, but
right.
We ended on sadness and sparkles.
Yes.
I'm now having another version of sadness and sparkles with no bubbly left in my glass. Let's do some quick, as good suggestion, rapid fire burlesque. That means I have to come up with things and you have to answer. Shit. Okay. So glitter is a yes or no or hell no, depending. What would you say?
It depends on the situation.
Okay. Don't bring glitter to upholstery is what you're saying.
Yeah. Generally try and keep glitter out of upholstery, out of carpet.
Okay. Best way to fake glitter.
Glitter.
What about like shiny?
I mean, you could use
like that stuff you put in a card, like
confetti.
Shiny confetti paper.
Confetti is just larger glitter.
All right, so large glitter that you can sweep easily.
I mean,
big chunks.
It depends. You can always put a tarp down.
Okay,
that's generally nice.
That's a good like safety, glitter protection program,
right? Or any kind of mess. I do a number with honey that is. I don't do that number anymore. Ugh, I hate it so much.
Disgusting to go home with, basically.
I hate it so much, but people love it.
Oh, you're not supposed to put sugar in your delicate bits.
I know, and like it ends up everywhere. Like I put it on the top, like on my sternum, and somehow it ends up under my boobs.
Under your
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
You're like, I think I probably just like I crossed some blue laws that I didn't even know existed, right?
I crossed some personal laws
personal
that I didn't know
existed. Yeah.
Yeah, like a whole package of baby wipes later.
Oh, God.
I'm still not clean.
That's not happy for the environment.
No, it's gross.
Like, but you're desperate times.
Right. Desperate measures, yeah. So definitely, keep your venue in mind. If when in doubt, ask your producer, like, hey, what does this venue allow? If I were to do this, would that be cool?
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, just like keeping your producer in mind and keeping the venue in mind, especially if you've been to that venue before. Oh, yeah. You don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right. And if you want to get invited back, you don't want to hurt their feelings.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on to the next question.
Yes.
What are the top 3 to 5 things somebody needs to take into account when producing a show? Whether that's crew members and cast or budget items to keep in mind so you don't go broke.
All of the above. I produced a show in Raleigh when I lived in Raleigh, and I was out of pocket $300 or $400.
Before what? Or just after the show ended?
After the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's no fun. That's not how you want it to go.
Right. So, I mean, based on like ads that I had to purchase, because Facebook has some really weird laws about or like weird, yeah. So like if your advertisement has any sort of lascivious anything, it can be like a girl in a bra and they won't approve the ad, which sucks because like
heaven forbid it's a girl in a glittery bra or a girl with big boobs that have to fill a big bra.
It's just dumb. So you have to try and get around it. You have to try and fool the Facebook algorithm. Mm-hmm. And it's just expensive. And, flyering and
what
making posters.
What has been the best marketing for you? Like, what has been the thing that you're like, didn't even realize that would do the thing, but we got like 20 people from that.
Word of mouth.
Like going,
honestly, like word of mouth is the best.
Like shops and things, or just calling your friends.
Yeah, basically like soliciting your friends to go and having
just bring like 1 or 2 other people,
right? And definitely promotion on Facebook, like having your performers market your show for you is one of the most effective ways, because
you're leveraging everybody's networks.
I'm leveraging everybody's networks. Yeah. And sometimes the venue will also post about your show and things like that.
Oh, that sounds
so
lovely.
As long as they have the information that they need and nothing is like screwed up with their ticket link or, like being on top of everything and being able to manage everything. As far as
what's a good split or way to set it up so that you don't lose money, but it's still attractive to the venue or restaurant?
It depends on the... I hate that all these answers are... It
what are
depends.
some ways that you found it worked that worked really well for you and also worked for the restaurant or the venue?
The requirements of the venue sometimes are hard to work with. Okay. So mine, for instance, my venue was I have to pay them a certain amount of money.
So you have to guarantee them money?
Right. I have to guarantee them money.
Sounds like such risk to me.
It is.
Performer.
That's
like, I'm already taking my clothes off. What do you want?
But being a producer is really different than being a performer. Because, like, once you're a performer, like, you get off stage and, like, that's it. And you can, like, go have a beer with your friends or whatever. As the producer, the show ends and you're still working.
You're cleaning up the mess.
Yeah. And you're probably working until after the bar closes because you have to network and take all your set down if you have to do that, rearrange whatever the venue has you.
Have you produced and done a number in a show? Mm-hmm. Same. That's a lot, right?
Yeah, it's a ton. And the only reason that I actually perform, I MC'd that show.
Whoa.
Yeah,
okay.
so I MC'd that show, I performed, I produced the show.
You're like huffing and puffing because you're like, I thought I had a break. Nope, I was just changing.
No, I was running around the whole show, and it was great, but it takes a lot of grit and a lot of patience to produce a show.
Okay, so
and you're probably not going to come out ahead, I'll tell you that.
So if there was a way, though, that you could see that would work really well for the performer, and maybe it would be an innovative idea for the venue, maybe something they wouldn't necessarily offer or even think to offer or think of its possibility, like, I'm just like, how can we minimize the risk on both sides, right?
It's hard because venues have some pretty hard and fast things that they need to follow. So, for instance, I was thinking of doing a show in Phoenix, and the venue that I visited wanted a $3,000 bar guarantee.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And, you have to figure out at that point, like, how many tickets do I have to sell to... And, like, how many average drinks is this person going to drink? And how much are the drinks on average? And you have to kind of figure it out, like, okay, I need 150 people to come to this show in order for me to just break even with the venue.
That's a lot of people to show.
Yeah, right. And if you're in a smaller city like LA, it kind of depends, too, on your location and how many regulars you have. Because if you have a really big, thriving burlesque community and you have the same 15 or 20 people that go to every show, you'll probably have those 15 or 20 people there, but you still have to worry about those other 130. So, and that's just to break even. That's not even to pay crew, pay performers, get a photographer or videographer if you want one, that kind of stuff. Because I hate to ask people to work for free. And I want them to get paid fairly for what they're doing based on what the market is there. And in order to do that, I had to reach into my own pocket and do that to make sure that I had a successful show. So the way that it worked out, I would have broken even if I had maybe 10 more people come to the show.
Wow, okay.
So, I mean, it was really close.
Yeah.
And I'm not sad about it or anything because it was an amazing show and I had amazing performers.
But
and
you can't do that over and over and over again.
Right. But I can't, that's not something that I can do every month.
That was a great, like, on-the-job learning experience kind of thing. Like, put yourself through the paces. And
it's weird producing your own show when you've been performing in shows for so long because you're so used to, like, somebody else taking the reins and saying, hey, we have 10 minutes till curtain.
Right. And you're responsible for all that.
And I'm responsible for all that now. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh my God.
Note to self, hire a timekeeper and a key holder. Okay.
It's just, it's hard. And I had a friend who is a feature in the show. Her husband was a photographer, so he offered to photograph the show. I paid him. It tipped out the door person. paid all my performers, paid the stage kitten. You know, I made sure that all of my people got paid.
What's the stage kitten for people who don't know?
Oh, yeah. A stage kitten is the amazing ethereal creature that runs onto the stage after a number and picks up all the clothes that are left. And all of the glitter that's left. And all of the props that are left.
All of the everything.
Just all of the everything is taken off stage by a stage kitten.
Magically.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or if that person prefers male pronouns, a stage tiger. Yeah.
I don't know. We swap kitten out back and forth both directions.
Yeah. So that's fine.
But yeah,
anybody can be a stage tiger.
Yes. Whatever they prefer.
Correct.
Okay. So those are some good things to keep in mind for producing a show. What about getting sponsors? Like, could that be a way that could work so that you wouldn't have had to come out of pocket that $300 or $400 because you've had a local business that was a corporate sponsor? Or
you could, but getting them to give you anything other than a raffle item is rough.
Okay, I've gotten it before.
Like, yeah, like you can, absolutely. A lot of people, the problem that you run into is that a lot of people don't know what burlesque is. Mm-hmm. And then when they find out what it is, they're like, oh
right.
No.
It has to be a good fit where the business, the sponsor feels comfortable.
Right. Lots of lingerie stores sponsor burlesque and tattoo shops and, you know,
stuff that's a little more edgy.
Stuff like that. Or hairstylists even. Mm-hmm. My wonderful hair girl in Phoenix used to sponsor one of the shows that I was in consistently. And as did my ex, my tattoo artist ex, also sponsored a show. But it was more like, hey, I'm going to give a gift certificate. I'll give $100 gift certificate so you can get money through raffle. I did have a raffle at my show, which I am generally super against because it takes so much time. It takes up so much time to do a raffle, and there's no efficient way to do it because you're reading these numbers out and everybody is drunk and it's dark.
Nobody's paying attention
and
to
they can't see what number they have. Yeah. So like you have to be very like authoritative with your raffle.
Attention, audience! We are doing the raffle. Pay the fuck attention.
It was like one of those things where you would like call a number and then you would give them 10 seconds. And if the people did not come back in 10 seconds, you throw that card away.
If they're not shouting and running down the aisle.
Right. So I try to run my raffles as efficiently as possible. And when I'm in MC, I do the same thing because it really annoys me. Raffles annoy me so much. It's probably my least favorite thing about shows is raffles.
They're so annoying, but people love them.
People love them.
My mom used to win stuff all the time. She won golf clubs. She won a trip to Hawaii.
And there's people that are like lucky like that. I am not one of those
She also died when she was 49, so she had to get all her luck, in a concentrated
very
period
lucky.
of time. Yeah.
And selling raffle tickets can be fun because it's an opportunity. Usually, like, your stage kitten does it or, something like that. They'll go around the audience and they'll do, like, 1 ticket for $1 and 5 tickets for $3. Or you can do an around the world where, like, you wrap tickets around your tits or ass. And you do that for $20. And, like, all the guys
want a piece of that.
Everybody in the audience, guys, girls, they all want it.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Can I wrap it around?
They're like, okay, where do I get $20?
Where do I get to touch?
I think it depends. If somebody is especially like nice and I can tell that they're not creepy, I'll be like, all right, I'll let you do it.
This was a gamble on your part.
Yeah, it's absolutely a gamble because you're in a situation in which people aren't asking for consent.
Right, and they're already riled up, so they're already riled up. Things,
Yeah, so it can be pretty dangerous sometimes. I haven't had any like really bad experiences. I did have somebody like follow me in my car once, but like
not good. But nothing dangerous happened.
But it was like he just wanted to chat, and I'm like, I don't want to chat with you. Like I've got. My wig is in one hand.
My boning is boning me.
Exactly.
Not in the good way.
Like, I don't have time for this. Yeah. I want to go get Taco Bell, and I want to go home. Because you
and then because you have to unwind still.
Yeah.
You get home and you're like, you need 2 or 3 hours before
and it's
you go to
like
bed.
midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning.
And then like 4 by the time you're ready to bed.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then, day job.
Yeah, but you end up having these like little traditions with yourself, and it's kind of one of my favorite things of burlesque is that people have these little traditions. Like they'll put their pasties on a certain way, or they always do their makeup this one way and that is their look. For me, it's usually what I eat after show.
Taco Bell, apparently.
Well, no, in Phoenix.
But Taco Bell, if you want to sponsor Miss Pearl Necklace, she might be open to at least having a conversation.
No. I am open to Cookout from the East Coast. Because Cookout is...
that the name of the place?
Yeah, okay. Cookout is love. Cookout has
You heard it here first, folks.
Cookout is love. They have 50 shake flavors.
Oh my God, it is love.
Yes. And there's a Cookout tray that you can get for $4.99 that has a burger and 2 sides, which can also be another burger.
Sounds
because it's
awesome.
the South. And they have cheer wine. So
what's
you can't...
cheer wine?
Cheer wine is amazing. It's like a cherry soda.
But with alcohol in it?
You can put alcohol in it. Vanilla vodka and cheer wine is really good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really great.
And also dangerous. But I kind of feel like I should have some of that on my birthday. And then the other part of me that hasn't been under the influence already tonight is I want to rethink that one later.
You can find cheer wine here. It's hard to find, but you can do it. It's just expensive here. East Coast, you can get it in 12 packs.
I feel like I should try that, but separately from the birthday tasting, whatever that ends up being, which might be variations of bubbly.
Get your own cheer wine.
Yeah.
And just do it yourself.
Okay. All right. I want to move on to another sexy topic.
Yes.
That you have sort of not probably even intentionally hinted at, but you said things that I've picked up on, my partners, plural. Whatever do you mean?
Well, I'm polyamorous. Technically, I'm ambiamorous, which is
sounds very flexible.
It is actually. People who are ambiamorous are happy either in monogamous relationships or non-monogamous relationships.
Oh, I like that word.
Yeah, so you are happy with either. There's not one that you prefer over the other.
How do you discover that, though, given that our culture is monogamous centric?
For me, I found somebody that I was willing to be monogamous with and realized that, I shouldn't feel bad about that because sometimes people shift and people change and what they want changes. And, if you're having a really hard time mentally or you're going through a lot of stress or something like that and you don't have other partners at that time and your other partner says, hey, why don't we just kind of do us for a little while, you're happy with that.
Nurture us,
right? Which is exactly sometimes what you need
in any kind of relationship,
right, polyamorous or monogamous.
And sometimes even just in your friends, you're you know what, that's a really close friend and I haven't talked to them in a month. Why can I talk to them in a month, right? Mindfulness to the relationship.
Yeah. And being really open and knowing how you feel is super important.
The way you kind of presented it, it sounded like maybe you felt like you started as ambi or poly.
I started as poly.
How did that even come into your awareness?
My partner at the time, his best friend is poly still. And he approached me one day and he was like, hey, what do you think if we tried this polyamory thing? And I've always felt through my entire life that I was really bad at monogamy. Just bad at it. Either, I'll wake up one morning and I'll just be tired of whomever I'm with. And I'll just be ugh,
bored.
Actually,
a bunch of other things, but also bored.
But also, it's not fresh anymore. And, there's none of that new relationship energy going on. And so I would find myself in a situation where I would want to look elsewhere for that. And so I was really bad at monogamy.
I could see where that could become a thing where people are chasing that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Which then that becomes really hard because we are all taught that fades.
Right.
We're supposed to long for it and want it, but we're also taught that it fades.
Right.
So you're oh, well, then I have to go find more of that, right?
But it's also one of those things that, if you're not secure enough in yourself, that becomes an issue.
Right.
And being polyamorous kind of forces you to look at yourself in the mirror and figure out what's going on so that you can more effectively communicate with your partner or partners as to what's going on. especially if you have people in your group that have anxiety or any other kind of mental illness, it becomes even that much more important to be able to communicate and be able to communicate your feelings in a way that is direct.
And I would think also like, so direct, effective, but also kind, because
Correct.
how is what you're trying to get across going to affect the other person,
right?
Persons,
right? And that's not to say that you should avoid situations in which you have to have hard conversations. It just means that you need to be better prepared for those conversations and looking inward and figuring out what you want and what you need and what you're feeling makes you more prepared to have those hard conversations. Because it's not like you're approaching a relationship and wanting that relationship to transition or break up or, what have you. It's better to come to the table and say, hey, I'm feeling this and I'm feeling like I've shifted here. And I don't think that I'm suited for this relationship anymore, kind of thing. Instead of saying, I don't want to be with you and I don't know why. So like having that self-awareness and having that kind of key into what you're feeling is something that I learned very rapidly in polyamory.
Seems like it's essential. Like if you don't have that, then you're just going to fuck it all up.
I mean, you're not necessarily going to fuck it up, but you're definitely not going to have as good a time, probably, as if you...
And you're going to hurt a lot of feelings?
Yeah, I mean, you might, because, like, the more you know about yourself, the more you're able to figure out about other people. So, the more I know about what triggers me and what makes me happy and what really upsets me and things like that, the better I am at pinpointing that in other people.
Yeah. So, okay, so you had basically your first relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Through that, you were introduced to polyamory,
right?
So how old were you at that point?
This was about 5 years ago. Yeah, it was about 5 years ago. So I was 27.
Okay. Do you think that this is a thing that more younger people are finding out and thinking is maybe like, they saw their parents go being really unhappy or get divorced and thinking like, I don't want that to be my life.
Yeah.
And so this is maybe a way to have a happier life.
I mean, it really depends on the person and what they're going through. And a lot of people, especially, I don't want to generalize because I don't want to speak for everybody, but from the people that I know, those that are millennials or zennials or, whatever, basically like 40 and under, are finding that polyamorous relationships better fit their needs. Because one person can't be everything to one person. It's a lot of pressure to put on a person.
Soulmate thing.
Yeah, and it can really put a lot of tension in a relationship. And so polyamory doesn't get rid of that tension, but it lessens that tension sometimes, depending on your relationship. Mm-hmm. But I feel like younger people see now that those kind of relationships are even possible. Because, when I was growing up, we didn't really have internet. Mm-hmm. We didn't have Reddit. We didn't have any of that I could go and search and say, hey, I'm kind of like feeling this. Like, let me connect with other people around the whole world and see if I'm the only person feeling this. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people feel really trapped by monogamous relationships. And they're definitely not the only person that feels that way. If I like to think that if people in my parents' generation had the access to internet that we have, well, it would be a world full of dad jokes. First of all, lots of khakis and New Balance tennis shoes, and
Costco,
right? And I feel like they would maybe have a better chance at making their relationships work for them and what they want.
And talk about what that means, because making their relationships work, monogamous people might say, yeah, like, you stay married. But that might not, to a polyamorous person, that might not be what that means. Right. Or it may mean yes and.
Right. Yeah.
Can you talk about that for a minute?
So in my relationships, we don't necessarily, well, I don't necessarily refer to a breakup as a breakup. I refer to it as a transition. So if that transition means that I completely lose contact with a person, then that's what that is, and that's fine. But if it's simply transitioning from, you know, having a nesting partner or somebody that you live with, to living on your own, or from having a boyfriend to having somebody that you just like have dinner with every once in a while, or like something like that. Yeah. Just transitioning that relationship, I feel, is less harsh than saying, oh, we broke up. I don't know.
Which, like, in monogamy, we broke up. I think there's often an unspoken rule that means we broke up and so we can never, ever talk again.
Right.
For good reason, because everybody else is out to get everybody else's spouse or something. Right.
And that's not as often present in polyamory. Sometimes you do have a little bit of that learned behavior that lingers. But that's where, like, the self-awareness comes in. Because you can see your patterns.
That thing that I was
yeah. Or like, oh shit, I'm doing that thing that like I said that I was never going to do.
Right. That weird jealousy thing.
Right. Well, jealousy is absolutely normal, and it's something that everybody in polyamory and everybody in monogamy and just everybody experiences jealousy.
But you go, I realize I'm doing that jealousy.
Right.
I'm being in it.
Right. Or you're able to actually look at jealousy and say, okay, what is this trying to tell me?
Right. What's the message?
Yeah. What's the message? Because jealousy isn't an actual emotion. Jealousy is, Paige Turner of Polyland puts it very well and says that it's a check engine light. It's basically just like an indicator that you're going through something deeper and that you need to look deeper so that you can figure out what that is. Like, is that you feel like you're not getting enough attention from your partner? Are you afraid that you're going to be replaced? Like, where is this coming from? And then you're able to sit down with your partner and be like, hey, so I'm having these feelings, and this is kind of what I figured out it's coming from. Like, let's talk about this and figure out how to accommodate for this. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily how to ignore this or how to deal with this right away, because a lot of things take time and change isn't linear.
Need to share that I'm dealing with this thing.
Right. And, you know, I would appreciate if we did blank. Like, hey, I would appreciate if we went to see a movie every week or just something like that, if you feel like you're not getting enough quality time with your partner.
Mm-hmm. So, do you ever see yourself getting married?
I've been married 3 times.
Really? Mm-hmm. You're so young.
I got married the first time when I was 19.
You're like, yep, saw myself get married at least 3 times.
Yep. I hold the record in my family for most divorces now. It was, my dad and I were tied. Now I'm ahead. I get the womp womp sad trombone trophy. Really, though, I mean...
So you're really a big fan of love.
I am a hopeless romantic. Yeah, I am an absolute hopeless romantic. And, you know, it's just situations in life and, you know, shit happens and you can't really be hard on yourself for it because sometimes relationships don't work out. And that's just the way that it is. And it could be for any reason. So I try not to dwell on the fact that I have 3 air quote failed marriages. Mm-hmm. And I try to look at them as opportunities. I sound so corporate right now, like, as opportunities for growth. But really they are, because they're teaching you more about yourself and they're teaching you more about like, oh, this is what I want, or oh, this is what I absolutely do not fucking want ever again.
Bookends in the timeline of your life.
Right.
You're like, oh, let me explore that chapter again.
And, you know, you come out of it and you're a completely different person. Like, I'm a completely different person than I was 6 months ago. So it's always about changing and evolving and being flexible and having relationships that also allow you to do that is really wonderful as well. And really liberating and really freeing that, like, I can sit and watch a movie with my introvert boyfriend, and I can like go out and have beers with my extrovert boyfriend kind of thing.
That kind of sounds fun.
Right. It's great. I had
Everybody
a museum.
gets what they want.
Yeah, I had a museum boyfriend for a while. We would go to museums because, you know, my other partner didn't like museums, and I do. So it goes back to like that one person not being able to fulfill all of your needs. So like if I were to ask my non-museum liking boyfriend, hey, will you go to this museum for me? Of course he'll say yes. But he's probably not. But he's probably not going to enjoy it in the same way that I am. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want. Like I want people that are excited about the same things that I am for the same reasons, not just because like I'm super cute and you decided that you wanted to go to the museum with me. Because I am super cute and people want to go to museums with me.
Sometimes they don't want 4 hours of the museum with super cuteness.
Sometimes they're like, why have you been standing in front of this painting for the last 20 minutes? I don't get it. It's just a bunch of squares.
And you're like, oh, I didn't realize I was asleep.
Oh, sorry. Or, you know, being able to talk about politics and, you know, stuff like that. Like, some people just aren't into that. Or they're not into it at the level that you want to go.
That you want to connect at.
Right.
And so when you're connecting with them, it may be feeding them, but it may be kind of like somebody else. It could be like they're feeling like they're making a sacrifice or something.
Right.
Because they really don't want to talk about that, but they're trying to like
my insistent political rantings. They're like, oh God, not again. But I mean, really, it adds variety and it adds.
What does polyamory mean to you? Because I don't think we actually like defined it, and I know different people talk about it different ways.
People have different definitions, and nobody polyamory is the same way. Mm-hmm. So the way that I do polyamory isn't necessarily the way that literally anybody else would do polyamory, and that's fine. But polyamory to me is building connection and building relationships, meaningful relationships, especially, with more than one person.
Romantic relationships specifically?
It doesn't have to be. I am demisexual, so I require a connection before a sexual relationship. Or I find it really hard to have sexual relationships where I'm just like, oh, you're hot and I need you right now. I can't do that. And it's something that I've actually learned through the last year or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You always learn something new about yourself. It's really strange. But being able to build those connections and build those foundations is really important to me. And probably the biggest part about polyamory, for me, and I'm kitchen table poly.
What does that mean?
Which, so the simple definition is, if you have a partner and another partner and they are both in the house at the same time, would you be able to sit and eat a meal with them?
Okay.
So they know each other. They're at least familiar with each other.
Simple.
Yeah. Like they don't have to like each other. They don't even have to really tolerate each other. It's just a matter of like, occasionally I'll want to do a dinner or something and I want everybody to be there kind of thing. So like people's heads are exploding. Mine might be partially exploding. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I guess one question that people might be asking is like, okay, well, like, cool for you, but like, one, I could never do that, or two, like, how do you even find these other people that would be okay with it when that's not the cultural norm?
OkCupid's a really good resource. OkCupid is very non-monogamy friendly. They actually allow you to
talk about the difference though between cheating and non-monogamy or consensual non-monogamy.
Oh, that's the key word is consensual. So non-monogamy, ethical non-monogamy, some people call it polyamory. There's a ton of different names for it. It is having relationships with people in which everybody knows about each other. They at least know about each other.
And if it's done well, is it kind of like, the point is that we want to develop amazing relationships with all different humans, and we just don't want to have to put like a restriction on what that could look like.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, so if I may just have a really close friendship with this person and we're like they're my ideal playmate. We do like super fun things together, like a museum, right?
Right.
And then this other person may just be like, oh my God, there's so much like physical passion, I can't even handle it. Like,
right.
That's something we do really well together, right?
It can be any permutation that you could ever think of. Mm-hmm. It can be, I have this completely asexual relationship with this person, but we are both into BDSM, or, you know, like something like that, you know, like having somebody that fills.
Also, can you define BDSM for people who might not know?
Oh.
The vanillas?
BDSM is basically kink. So, bondage.
I know, I'm like, what does it even mean?
I'm like, wait a minute.
What's the acronym?
I know sadism, masochism. Okay, bondage, discipline, sadism, masochism.
Okay.
Got it.
Ding, do you win?
Easier is just to say you're kinky.
But people have different kinks.
Right. People have different kinks, and you have to find other people with your kinks, mostly via meetups and FetLife. But going back to polyamorous relationships...
FetLife, right?
Yeah, it's FetLife.
Okay.
Yeah, they've had some issues in the last couple of years with legalities and stuff like that. Because SESTA and FOSTA in the U.S. are shutting down a lot of adult content.
Are those things that are seen as, like, possible because of, like, human trafficking challenges?
That's what they want to say.
But they're not actually doing the research on it?
They just want to be prudes, basically. To put it plainly.
They want to be prudes, and they want you to be prudes, too.
Yeah. They want to punish you for not being prude. So it's affected a lot of sex workers, especially, and people that put up adult content. And they're just, it's really hard. Like Tumblr, you can't post anything with female presenting nipples. Or they'll take it down.
God, what does that even mean?
If somebody looks at that photo and assumes that those nipples are attached to a woman, they are illegal on Twitter. Or not Twitter. I mean, they are on Twitter as well, but Tumblr.
Hide those nipples, ladies. Pay for those pasties.
And Tumblr used to be like one of the best places to find porn.
Where does one go these days?
Reddit.
Really?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
Oh God, there's a ton of porn on Reddit.
That is porn.
And it's like, a lot of it is like good porn too.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's like a whole subreddit of just like guys' butts.
So if you're into that.
Like, yeah. So like if you just like seeing plump booties, like if that does it for you, it's there. There's like a subreddit for everything.
My brain is running off into magical places right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's great.
I feel like there's 400 hours of conversation more we could have on this, but I feel like maybe now's a safe place to end.
Yeah.
Also, I think your time is sort of up, so thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
And I look forward to many more fun and interesting conversations.
Me too.
Hey, Mermaid. And any mermen and pirates who might be lurking around. Thank you so much for listening. If you've been enjoying the show, I'd love to invite you to check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/peaceloveandwine. There you can find ways to support the show through our virtual tip jar / micro sponsorship and membership in the official Peace, Love, and Wine Club. You'll find different tiers with different benefits, such as getting your name in the show notes, getting a handwritten letter from yours truly, and getting a shout out on the podcast itself. Additionally, we are adding some fun tiers with my new Burlesque behind the scenes adventures, where you'll get access to photos, blog posts, and videos that will not be shown to the general public. So if any of that sounds like fun to you, if you've ever had a laugh or gained some wisdom or insight from the show, I'd appreciate if you could take the time to check us out over at Patreon and see if that's something that you might be open to participating in. As we get more founding patron members, we will add more fun things too, possibly things like virtual happy hours where we meet virtually and enjoy a drink and conversation together. So I'm curious to hear what you'd like to see. You can always email me, info@peaceloveandwine.com. And again, check it out in the show notes, patreon.com/peaceloveandwine.